This is Michaela McLean, and you're listening to Beauty by Design. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for being here. It's time to talk about Gate 64, the last of the 64 gates. But they don't go in chronological order, and it's never really the end, is it? Time just keeps going. That's kind of a theme with this particular gate. So we'll get into that in a bit. But before we do, of course, just catching you up on what's going on. Literally like packing, getting ready for Aesthetic Next, leave for Dallas next week. Or I shouldn't say next week. I'm kind of getting ahead on these. My time's off, but basically leaving here soon. So, getting a leg up on all the podcast episodes for you guys so that they're always on time. I am a 4-1. That line one, you best believe every episode gets out on a line one day. And there's a reason for that. But anyway, so I will be lecturing in the esthetician track at Aesthetic Next, and then also teaching workshop, my energetic aesthetics level 1. I am so thrilled to be doing that in real life. Again, having taught now at a clinic, teaching workshop there, and basically all of it, kind of working out any things, that you notice. I love the feedback and then being able to roll that into what is coming online. So of course I have opened up the wait list for energetic aesthetics. So if you're interested, go sign up because if I didn't come to your clinic or you're not going to be at Aesthetic Next, that's cool. Still, believe me, there is so much more to come. So head over there and get signed up. The link is in the show notes and in my Instagram bio at Michaela McLean. Of course, follow along over there for what's going to happen at Aesthetic Next. It's going to be fun. And then also my weekly energetic tips, my energetic RX for the treatment room, which is where we take everything that's happening in these episodes and then condensing it down and making it palatable and useful for your treatment room, whether that is actual like tips for your patients or clients, for yourself, frequencies, crystals, essential oils, all that cool stuff, to actually utilize during that week even. So I highly recommend it if you're not already following me over there. Of course, the links for everything, show notes over in my bio. And you can go from the free guide to classes, courses, all that jazz, and of course, then the big boy coming. So anyway, you know what to do. Let's get on to the episode. Always my reminder, don't try to understand this at the mental level. Again, this is really important for this particular gate or gene key or hexagram. Just let it sink in. It will all make sense when it's going to make sense. Let the energy and frequency of beauty just fill those skin cells up, plump them up real good, like a great serum. Okay. So 64, we are continuing to progress through Virgo into the 64th gate. And of course, like I said, it's the last. I'm like air quotes here, the last gate. It's located in the head or the crown center, whatever you want to call it, the very top. In human design, it's called the head. In the chakra system, it's the crown. But the human design centers they're their own thing. And also, FYI, sorry, taking a quick tangent, going left here. My healing modality is based on the energy centers because that is more of it's our evolution, it's our progression, so that's the system I subscribe to, and so that's what I use when I'm doing this type of work. So again, if you're interested, go sign up for the wait list. So anyway, like I said, it's up there in the head center. It's part of collective abstract sensing circuitry. So this is the more yin, feminine, experiential, intuitive, receptive side of the chart that is focused on reflecting on and making sense of the past. So again, it's abstract. It's very much about the journey, not the destination. This is not goal-based. It's about the experience, living the experience, and then keynote for collective sharing about it, right? Sharing the mental images, the intuition, the story of the experience. Okay, so starting with the center, the head or the crown is pressure center. And so this pressures us to know, to think, to make sense of things. It peaks, pinks. It piques our imagination and wants an answer to why. It pressure pops into the head in the form of inspiration and questions. And then the energy moves down to the ajna, so the mind, the third eye, to be made sense of and get an answer. So 64 is known as before completion. It's the gate of confusion. So I'm like, wait, what? It's the last gate, but it's before completion. The keynote here is abstract pressure to make sense of the past and to resolve chaos and confusion, which I always think that's a funny name for the last gate because energy is infinite. You're confused because you think it over. She ain't over. It's never over. And we'll just throw a little Einstein quote right here. It's like, what did Einstein say? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form into another. Wow. That's big for this one. So this one is concerned with what? Like mental pictures. What was that all about? Again, hindsight, looking back. So the low expression of this is, like I said, it's confusion, right? It's confusing thoughts, mental cloudiness, can't make sense of things, trying to force things to make sense, trying to explain inspiration logically and through words, and worrying about how does this make any sense? Trying to force the sense of things before it's time, pressure to make sense of the past. The high expression, though, is basically being the observer, right? Not being so in it, like taking a back seat, it's like when you realize you are the witness to this whole thing, even your own mind and your own thoughts, like you are not your thoughts. It's like not giving all your power to your mind. That's a very powerful place to be, allowing insights to drop in and basically just enjoying the ride of this whole experience. Thinking in pictures. I think it's like great doodling, being creative. This is collective again. So what you want to zoom out when you think of collective, right? This is like big picture vision. And I always say with collective energy, it's like hindsight is 2020. Like it's all so clear after the fact. So, I want to go back to what I said about it being the receptive yin feminine side of the body graph. This is about experiencing things, not analyzing them to death, right? And trying to plot it out and figure it out, make it all perfect. This is, like I said, it's up in the head, it's up in the crown. This is just receiving downloads. It's a channel, so it's receiving images, memories, what have you. So I always think of this one as, again, like a confusing movie where it's like everything sort of just comes together in the last few minutes and totally blows your mind. It's like, this is that energy, right? I think it's like a flash of like, whoa, like there it is. People with this energy, they're abstract minded people, constantly swimming in potentially confusing mental images. But when you learn to use that correctly, it's about, just relaxing into it because you're not in control of it. You can't force it. Can't force the timing for understanding. Um, the images behind this too. It's like just they're constant. All this stuff is pouring into this gate, this center, the head center. But this is not the place that it all gets figured out. That's it, the channel partner's job, which we'll get to. That's 47. Basically, your job here, if you're somebody with this particular energy, is learning to relax, clear your mind. Meditation's very important. It just really lets you open up to the gift of this particular energy. Like learning to enjoy sitting back and riding the wave of confusion versus allowing it to overwhelm you. It's like there's a reason that you don't understand it all yet. So you don't need to be in such a hurry to figure everything out. Everything will be revealed to you when the divine timing is right. And when clarity eventually comes, it's not necessarily meant to be acted upon, but instead shared with others. So people that have a 64 by itself, if this is, a gate that It does not connect down to the 47. These are people who are under pressure all the time to just figure things out before it's time. And like I said, I think of this as like it's like the evolutionary spiral. Again, it's never done. This is why they talk about it's like before completion, and yet it's the end. It's because time keeps ticking, like that energy continues to grow and evolve and mature over time, and your perspective, like you gain wisdom, you gain perspective as you get older and have had more experience, right? This is the experiential side of the body graph. Okay, so in the gene keys, the shadow of this one is confusion, the gift is imagination, and the city is illumination. And there's a couple of great pull quotes from the original Gene Keys book, where Richard Rudd says, "The moment the mind stops thinking, the confusion ends, which shows you what a sham it is." And he also says, "To be illuminated means to think God's thoughts," which I think is really beautiful. So anyway, we're gonna continue with Richard's words, and he says, "The whole process can be so confusing, and this is the 64th shadow, confusion. Here's the secret right up front: confusion needs time. That's all any of this needs: time to become clear on its own according to a natural process. Of course, at the shadow frequency, we never allow ourselves our process time, at least not enough time. We allow external or internal forces to pressure us into premature action or activity. Contemplation and digestion takes time in order that we can absorb and assimilate the nutrients and they can make sense to us. This is the path of moving from confusion to illumination. It's what life is. This is what it means to find out who and what we really are. The 64th shadow is never far away. It always accompanies transformation, big or small. It's about entering into the not knowing, into the mystery. To the mind, it's frightening and confusing. Our mind tries to find a way out in order to resolve the confusion. It wants to come up with a reason for the state we're in. Then it gets us to take some kind of action to solve the confusion, make it go away. It tries to put things back in order so we have the illusion of feeling safe again. These are the times when humans are most tested, when we're doubtful and confused. Most of us aren't able or willing to stay that vulnerable, so we retreat into false order and control. We end up repressing the transformation that was inviting us to evolve our awareness in some way. At the shadow frequency, people don't like change. They like consistency and order. The shadow consciousness needs order to feel safe. So this is the dilemma of the 64th shadow. It doesn't like feeling incomplete, and confusion is a state of utter incompleteness. This 64th gene key was originally named before completion because it refers to the transformational state. Unlike the 63rd gene key, the 64th isn't progressive or sequential. It specializes in sudden quantum leaps. If we don't embrace the confusion, we never get the leap. Instead, we stay with the safe, the consistency of our life the way it is. As I said at the beginning, the key with this one is time. We just have to stay with the uncertainty and allow it time to reveal the mystery and the magic. When we do allow confusion some time and space, then magic comes in. This is the gift of imagination. And imagination is about magic and surprises and the unexpected. These gene keys are powerful, and they aren't just about dealing with challenging states. They are magical keys. When we enter into deep contemplation on the gene keys, we engage the hidden forces of evolution and involution. We begin to tempt magic back into our life. The word imagination comes from the same root as the word magic. And this little prefix, ma, is all about influencing matter, the mother, the Maya. It's about manipulating matter. That's what magic is. And that's what imagination is. Okay, so my notes here, this is part of a projected channel. So projector rules apply, seen, recognized, invited. 64 is associated with the pineal gland, which is a gland that produces melatonin. We talk about that. Hi, yoga nidra, shameless plug. So our sleep hormone, the pineal is aware of light and dark, and the sleep and wake cycle. And I think that is both literal and metaphoric, right? Are you asleep or are you awake? So spiritually, the pineal is thought of as the third eye, the seat of the soul. It moves neurotransmitters from the storage areas of the brain, the gray matter, to the frontal lobes of the brain, and makes sense, right? It's like the head, where we're talking about up at the top, bringing inspiration down to the ajna, to the place to like actually make sense of all of this, which we'll get to again, gate 47. So 64 is associated with the left eye and the right hemisphere of the brain. People with this particular gait may consider themselves visual learners. It's also associated with dyslexia, mental anxiety, possibly being clairvoyant, and then maybe headaches from mental pressure there. And I already mentioned this, but I really see this as like this is tapped into collective consciousness, right? And yeah, just so cool. So my programming partner here, so the so the sun is in Virgo. The earth is automatically going to be opposite in Pisces at gate 63. And 63 is known as the gate of doubt, logical pressure to make sense of the pattern through doubt, looking for logic or a new pattern. So if you look at the head center, these two are on opposite sides. They're both collective sides of the head. But one is experiential and abstract and sensing, and this one is logical, sensical, all that good stuff. So this one, 63, let's get back to the plan. 63 is always questioning things and looking for the logical answer. This is not an energy that's going to just take things at face value. It's very, skeptical vibes, looking for proof. The low expression with this one can be very, again, self-doubt, mental anxiety, always just kind of unsure, doubtful about really everything. But the beautiful side of it is, this pressure to uncover the truth. So again, mental pressure. It's healthy skepticism, not believing things until they've been sufficiently comprehended. And definitely somebody who is logical, really good at pattern recognition, formulating educated answers. And that energy is really meant to be used for the betterment of the collective, again, for everyone, right? Versus on the self or another individual. This is really meant to help propel everyone forward. So again, another one associated with the pineal gland, and the relationship between these two, between 63 and 64, it's like the right and left brain, logic and the creativity. Yeah, being very like all about the facts or all about, intuition. Okay, so the gate that completes the channel is Virgo, gate 47, forming the channel of abstraction. And 47 is oppression, the gate of realization. And with this one, this is all about confusion again, right? Mental anxiety that you're never going to know the answer and that inspiration just isn't going to come, or you won't be able to explain your knowing. That's big. So 47 is essentially, taking the inspiration from up above, talking about all this about 64 and then bringing it down to the mind. So this one has to like sort through everything, figure it all out. Again, it's about relaxing into the process because you can't force it, can't force timing, can't force understanding. You just have to let these epiphanies essentially like fall in, come into place. And then you have this like aha, and that's meant to be shared with others. So 64 in the head comes down, connects to 47 in the ajna or the mind, and it takes that pressure of inspiration, questions, what have you, and turns it into fully formed ideas. And when the two come together to create this channel of abstraction, it's about the past making sense, basically, when it's divine time. It's, it's just waiting, having these big aha moments to share with other people, and then epiphanies about how to rework or upgrade the past, innovate something new from something old. this channel is really the epitome of hindsight is 2020. These are considered abstract thinkers, casual and creative minds. They're not logical. This can be someone who either inspires others with their thoughts and stories or confuses the hell out of everyone, right? Just depends. Depends on how they're using it for themselves and then therefore how that's going to affect everyone else. And always with this is like to stress. It's not meant to resolve your problems. It's actually meant to help others. Strategy and authority here, right? Whatever yours is, if you have 64, you could be anybody and have 64 by itself. And anybody could have the full channel except for a reflector. So again, if you've got this, you just have to follow your own strategy and authority, whatever that is for you. And to point out as well with these gates in this channel here, there is no motor. The head center is a pressure center. It's not a motor center. Same thing with the mind, the ajna. There's no energy here, right? This is projected. This is, I share it with people when I'm invited. And then it helps get out into the world, and you know what I mean? Like, that's how this works. So it's not like, "Ooh, I feel like I have to take action on these, these big ahas that I'm having." That's not what we do here. Okay, so astrologically, this channel would be a Virgo conjunction, which guess what? The next gate we're going to talk about is the 47. So these two are actually, these channel partners are next door neighbors on the wheel. So this is like the head and the mind self-organizing, taking care of themselves, like, processing here. And Virgo, is ruled by Mercury. So again, this all makes like quite a bit of sense. A lot of nonsense. Anyway, so they both actually fall in the third quarter of the wheel, purpose of fulfilled through relationships and bonding. So, like I said, you're going to feel like it's deja vu next week when we talk about all of this in reverse. But that's how it goes this time. And I always think about this as far as relationships, and I was like, oh, it's relationships with time, with memories, and then your relationship with the collective, right? How this kind of like is an energy that impacts everybody big picture. And so, yeah, I was thinking about that as far as like, how does that translate for the treatment room? So I have some ideas, of course, I'll be posting them over on Instagram. I encourage you to hop over there at Michaela McLean. But I do think sometimes people need to zoom out and see like the whole big picture, of their skincare journey and the possibilities of like what treatments and products can help them achieve, or even why they're doing any of this. Sometimes it is like the big aha later. That just comes later. Okay. So do you have the skin or not? Look all the way up at the top. It's going to be left-hand side where you're looking. 64, if it's colored in black, red, or red and black, that means you have it defined. If it's white, you do not have it. Look down at the 47, maybe that's colored in, and you would be getting the full channel for a week or so, or maybe you don't have any of it. In that case, hey, great. You're going to be experiencing it through the transits, through other people. This energy might sound familiar. It's always cool to look at other people's charts and be like, wow, oh, I totally see that in this person because they have it. So again, I'm always speaking to my people in the treatment room in aesthetics. It's like when you understand these things about your patients or your clients, this is going to help you know and understand them better in ways, again, that may not make sense to you right now. But believe me, as I continue to roll things out, it is all going to make sense. I keep joking about that whole puzzle piece. It's all little puzzle pieces, and I do see the picture on the front of the box, and I can't wait for everyone else to see the picture on the front of the box. But we'll get there when we get there. We cannot force divine timing, right? Okay, I will be back soon with more. Of course, if this episode was valuable to you, I would love it, love it, love it if you would leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That would mean so much to me. I always say it's like all of this work that I do, it's a labor of love. And so if you're enjoying this and getting education from it, and I mean, hey, karmic brownie point for for popping a positive review in there. That'd be amazing. Or send the show to a friend, screenshot and share on Instagram, whatever you feel like doing. It's always super appreciated. And of course, if you want to learn more human design, please check out free guide that'll lead you to the correct classes, the correct yoga nidra for your design type, your strategy and authority. Learn that in your sleep and get beauty sleep while you're at it, and healing frequencies and all the good stuff and the positive affirmations. Like what? So good. And, kind of onward and upward from there. But everything that is relevant or important is always linked in my show notes and Instagram bio. And of course, uh, oh my goodness, Little Fox, we would have had a new episode just come out. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. We get to talk about all the secret products and things that I've had to keep under my hat as of late. So that's a fun one. Okay. Of course, go follow me over on Instagram at Michaela McLean. And until next time, have a beautiful day.